On the phone, it's a pleasure to welcome Ron Seifert. He is from Tar Sands Blockade.org. Ron, are you there?
Yes, I am.
And Ron, what's your title with Tar Sands Blockade.org?
I'm a spokesperson for the campaign.
Okay, great. Well, so get us up to speed here. I know there's been basically direct action for what I think is going on weeks now, right? Tell us what's happening there, and where are you?
Well, I'm in East Texas right now, and that is correct. Tar Sands Blockade is running a rolling nonviolent civil disobedience campaign to literally stop Keystone XL pipeline construction here in East Texas. It's been ongoing since August, so there hasn't been much national fanfare regarding the construction process, but I do guarantee you it's in full swing. Construction sites are all over the place, both in Oklahoma and Texas, and the blockade has been successful in multiple occasions in bringing folks who are interested in stopping this to construction sites, and they have done various things to shut construction sites down for days. The highlight of all this is our ongoing tree blockade. We have the largest tree village and tree sit action in Texas history, where it stretches over 500 feet of the Keystone right-of-way. It involves over a dozen trees, as well as a timber wall, like a scaffolding built of the forest itself, the top of which has a catwalk, and along which blockaders can protect the easement as well. So there's over a half.
All right, so Ron, you were telling us about the this tree blockade. Tell us, let's back up just a moment here. Give people an understanding as to why this pipeline is still being built in Texas and Oklahoma. How is it that the case? While there was a sense that there had basically been a moratorium put on the building, but why is it going forward in these states?
That's a great question, Sam. So ultimately what's going on is the Keystone XL pipeline has been divided into two segments, a northern segment and a southern segment. The northern segment is what's being put on hold and what requires approval from the President and from the State Department. That's because it crosses our federal border with Canada. The southern segment, that's only running through Oklahoma and Texas, doesn't need approval from the State Department. And in fact, Obama himself last March issued an executive order to expedite construction of this southern leg of the Keystone XL pipeline. So he ordered his administrative bodies, his regulators like the EPA, to quote-unquote cut through the red tape to get this pipeline online fast as possible. So Obama's basically tried to have it both ways. He's tried to appease environmentalists by saying he's postponed or denied permits for the Keystone XL. At the same time, he's expediting construction of half the pipeline, which we've seen ongoing for the past month and a half.
So when this land is taken by eminent domain, is this done by the state of Texas, by the state of Oklahoma, by the federal government? Who in fact is taking this land? Because people should understand, this is not the Keystone Pipeline buying people's land, because people are lining up to sell their land to it. This is all by eminent domain. Is that right?
That's correct. It's the states themselves. So in the case of the southern leg of the Keystone Pipeline, Oklahoma and Texas have granted TransCanada the extraordinary power of eminent domain, a power that's usually only afforded to states and federal governments. So ultimately, this foreign corporation, this multinational corporation, is allowed to unilaterally condemn property and expropriate land from American citizens. So this process actually began several years ago, and ultimately landowners received letters without any other notice saying, "Hi, we're TransCanada, we're building a pipeline, we have the power to take your land, we're going to give you a very low price for your property, and if you don't like that, we're going to condemn it, take you to court, and you're going to lose, so you might as well take our money anyway." So a lot of people under prejudice and duress, signed land agreements with TransCanada because they felt they had no other choice. They were going to lose it one way or another, so they thought, hey, might as well get a few bucks out of it in the process. But over 100 landowners in Texas alone refused to even sign the contract. They thought that this was wrong, that their constitutionally protected land rights ought not be imperiled with such nonchalance. So they refused and they held out, and sure enough, their property was condemned. The pipeline is being rammed right through their homes, their ranches, their farms, and they're being put directly in harm's way when they wanted absolutely nothing to do with this project from the outset.
I mean, this is pretty stunning. I just don't. I mean, I don't know if you're an attorney, but I don't understand. I don't understand how how eminent domain is in play here when, in fact, it's quite possible. I mean, at this point, there's no evidence, anyways, that there's actually going to even be a pipeline, right? I mean, we may, from a political sense, and our intuition may be that if the president has given the okay for the southern leg, that he ultimately will okay the northern leg, but it doesn't exist there. And so I don't understand how there's any type of state interest involved in taking this land.
Right. There's two glaring legal issues with this eminent domain battle. First is what you referred to, that this entitlement of eminent domain was granted to TransCanada before they had even received any of the necessary permits to build this pipeline. So before the pipeline was even permitted or approved by any agency, the state gave them the power to take land for a project that on paper didn't even exist yet, which is really unconscionable. But in addition to that, the whole idea of them being a common carrier, a utility that is intended for the public good or the public interest, is one of the necessary conditions for this eminent domain entitlement. So eminent domain isn't supposed to be used for private gain. It's only supposed to be used in the public interest when what you're doing services the general public. So TransCanada has made that claim, that this Keystone XL pipeline is for the public good, for the public interest, that they are a common carrier of petroleum. And that's just a bald-faced lie.
Are they claiming the public good of Asia, or because is there any evidence? Has anybody even asserted that any of this petroleum is going to be consumed in the United States?
Well, there's plenty of sound bites from TransCanada PR people that stake that claim, but there's no factual evidence. TransCanada has yet to authenticate or verify any of its claims that there's going to be any benefit to America or to the citizens whose land is being expropriated. So ultimately, the only evidence that we do have points to the exact opposite, as you mentioned, that this is going to be an export pipeline. In fact, last December, TransCanada's president, Alex Porbet, in a hearing on energy future in America, was questioned by Congressman Edward Markey. And that exchange is documented. There's video evidence of it. And he, the president of TransCanada, has clearly stated, we cannot guarantee that this product will stay in the United States. We've already signed contracts with shippers, and they can do whatever they want with it. And then these shipping companies, these refiners, are claiming that all the money's in the developing world. They're anxious to export more and more. That's where the market's going. So all signs point towards this being a private, for-profit project to enrich a multinational corporation at the expense of homes, ranches, and farms here in Texas and Oklahoma.
Ron, now, I've seen reports of some people, landowners, of protesters coming to protect landowner rights, of chaining themselves to some of the machinery that is being used to, I guess, bulldoze trees and other aspects of the land to build this pipeline. And while they've been chained up to these machines, police have come in and actually tased them, pepper sprayed them, beaten them. Is this the case? Are you aware of these incidents?
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. We are well aware of it. And in fact, there's one instance in particular where two blockaders who were locked to each other. They had their arms locked together, sticking through the frame of a piece of machinery. So they weren't actually locked to the machine itself, but to each other through its framing. Were approached by police officers only after TransCanada supervisors huddled with them and what appeared to be instructed them on what they wanted to see happen. The police officers then put these protesters into stress positions, like wrenching their arms behind their backs. They then restrained the protesters with handcuffs, handcuffing their arms to the heavy equipment itself while in these stress positions. And then while the protesters were restrained, not only locked to each other, but their free arms locked to the machinery, they proceeded to put the protesters in chokeholds. They pepper sprayed them. They contorted the locks around their arms to abrade their skin, and they tased them multiple times, all while being restrained. So this is brutality at its worst, and this was all going on while TransCanada supervisors were actively watching what happened. After the protesters finally gave up and released themselves, TransCanada supervisors congratulated the police on, I quote, "a job well done," and encouraged that these tactics be used again in the future.
Is there a video of this?
No, before it could happen, police ran off all spectators with cameras, evacuated everyone else from the scene so no one could watch what was going on. That's not the first instance that police have taken cameras from spectators standing on private property, just watching blockades take place, watching people stop construction. These just innocent bystanders have had their cameras and their equipment taken and none of the stuff is yet to be returned. It is unbelievable. And what makes matters worse is a lot of these police officers are working on TransCanada's dime. TransCanada's their hired security are the sheriff's departments in these rural East Texas counties. So they've mandated the police officers to arrest anyone that sets foot on their property, even though that's not what an easement contract allows them to do. So you have police officers wearing state-issued uniforms, state-issued weapons, state-issued utility belts, but are working private security for TransCanada.
Unbelievable. Well, Ron, where can people support these actions, and where can they get more information?
Well, our website is tarsandsblockade.org. And there is an open call there for anyone and everyone that wants to participate in this campaign to stop the pipeline. There's a sign-up sheet. There's all different levels of participation. And in fact, this coming weekend, although it's short notice at this point, there is a training camp, an action camp for folks that are interested in coming to Texas to be on the ground, to participate more directly with the campaign. But the scope of what we're doing is becoming national. There's litigation moving forward against TransCanada. We're trying to organize landowners in a class against this eminent domain abuse. And we've got a lot of national support from national allies. So the campaign is growing, and there's room and plans for everyone to get on board. So now's the time. We still have time to stop the pipeline if we all get together and row in the same direction.
Well, Ron, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us about this. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck.